chilling. You're not gonna get like instead like it's so much better than like going to hear one of those like just those OC cover bands, man. Just like I don't know, Copper Sky or some shit like that. Like he said shit in one of his songs, so that gives me carte blanche. How the fuck is everybody? Oh gosh, mixed bag. But yeah, no, it's just nice to see live music in Ocean City and know that it's not, I don't know, 7 or 8 Fleetwood Mac songs sung by a menopausal woman. Hey, do you guys want to hear Uptown Funk? Like, no, I don't. I don't want to hear the original, and I don't want to hear anyone's grandmother sing it either. Gosh, I'm going to use notes because I got 30. You guys are in for a treat. 30 minutes, wow. Did we have a good Thanksgiving? Everybody have a good Thanksgiving? We enjoyed the holiday. That's good. Were we thankful? We were thankful for some things. What were you thankful for, sir? Oh, that's very sweet and very safe. Very safe. How about you, sir? You've given a riveting reaction to everything we've had thus far. What were you thankful for this year?
Wow. I'm thankful for this place. I love this place.
You certainly have reacted to it as though you love it. You certainly show zeal in your love for it. No, I'm also very thankful for this place. I think one of the things, this is so weird.
My bad.
No, you're all good. It's just funny. It's just not, I just didn't know my voice was this loud. I think one of the things I was most thankful this year for was black families at graduation ceremonies. I think that's at the very top of my list. I got to see my little brother graduate from college this year. He's the only one in our family to do that. Yeah, wow, please. It's hard. I quit. But no, he did it, and there is no eye roll more expressive than that of a black mother at a graduation ceremony when the commencement speaker says, "Now everybody please save your applause till the very end when everybody's name is called." He's like, fuck that. Her cousin wrote a rap verse just for when he walks across the stage. It's amazing. I love it. And sometimes like white families get hyped and, oh, go enjoy the art, please. Enjoy the art. There's a painting of me. That's strange. That's awesome. That's weird. It's weird to do comedy in a room where there's a painting of you. Looking very serious. It's just like, do good, Tyler. This is me. That's me judging me later. That's me saying, here's all the things that didn't go well at the Dunes Manor Hotel. You know, sometimes at graduations, white families get hyped too, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. Yeah, freaks me out. You guys are fun. Did everybody vote? Did we all vote?
Yes.
All right, good. Excellent. I hate, one of the things that pisses me off more than anything in the entire world is to hear people say, dude, I didn't vote, but it doesn't matter. It's not like voting even matters. Okay, let me do a poll in here. Who here watches Game of Thrones? No, you don't have to, I'm not your fucking 3rd grade teacher. You can actually respond vocally if you'd like. So a good bit of you watch Game of Thrones. I want to tell you something. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Your personality, if you catch butterflies, doesn't matter. Your personality is what doesn't matter, is my point. Your vote is the only thing about you that matters in this entire society. It's the only thing. Literally everything else about you doesn't matter. Strong start, Tyler. So I'm looking around. I'd like to get a good gauge of my audience here. God, it's 5 minutes in. I'm just taking a look around and saying, you know what? This is a hip-hop audience. This is an audience that loves them. So yes, oh yes. So she says yes. I love hip-hop music. You guys familiar with Lil Wayne?
Yeah.
Tepid reaction for Lil Wayne. The man's a genius. Carter 5 is one of the best albums I've heard in a long time, but once something Lil Wayne does that I think is really interesting is he lights a blunt before every track. You hear before he's like, wait, and you just hear him go in after that. And I was thinking about how funny it would be if other artists did that. How it only really works for Lil Wayne and it wouldn't for other artists. If you heard it start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. That's a new one. No, I love hip-hop music. Love Biz Markie. Big fan of Biz Markie. We know Biz Markie, correct? So you're going back a little bit. Going back with Biz Markie, the song Just a Friend, that's his most popular song, you know? You say he's just a friend, we know that song?
Yes.
Alright guys, come on. Like, yeah, I need something. No, we know that song. It's a popular song, been in a lot of commercials, but there's a part in that song that has always confused me thoroughly, and it's the part when Biz Markie goes, "'Cause I've got friends, and that's a fact, like Agnes, Agatha, Jermaine, and Jack." Yeah, you all caught on quick. A lot of people don't. Where did Biz Markie, the rapper, meet Agnes and Agatha? It's my only question, folks. What senior living center does this rapper hang out in that his 4 best friends are Jack, Jermaine, and 2 90-year-old women named Agnes and Agatha? It's always perplexed me. My grandmother is here, and no. Everyone was like, "Ooh." Yes, my grandmother is here. Grack, we call her Grack, which is a pretty cool name for a grandmother, I think. A lot of people have really weird names for their grandmothers. But are there any grandmothers in here, other than Grack? No, but do your grandkids like call you something? Grandma? All right, cool, good. You got a good family. You got smart kids. See, they know how to do it. It's just like grandma. That's good. Classic foundational grandma. Who's that? That's grandma, all right? Mind your own damn business. Grandma, grandpa, mom, and pop. Those are solid grandparent names. Like when you hear, like, this is Grandma Chi-Chi. Like, you are 24 years old. You're calling someone Grandma Chi-Chi with a straight face. We used to call Grack Gracky, like when we were like little kids, and then we abbreviated it to Grack because that sounds cooler. Grack is like, hey, what's up, Grack? Grack sounds like crack. Crack is a drug. Drugs are cool. It's a cool name. A cool name for McGrack. She's my mother's mother, and my mother is a very sweet lady. I'm sure some of you know who my mother is. She's a very sweet lady, lovely lady, angelic woman, sweet to like a fault almost, because she can be like somewhat naive, and she raised 2 very rambunctious young boys who love to just mess with her at every turn. One time we were driving to Philadelphia, and glad you could join us, sir. You didn't expect that. You too, miss. Here they come to save the day. They're here to make the show even better. I'm narrating. Oh, now they're right there. Yo, secret agents. What was I saying? My mother. God, let me tell you about my mother. We were driving to Philadelphia one time, and there's 2 tolls between here and Philadelphia. And at the first toll, just to mess with my mom, we were like, "Hey, Mom, tell the toll person that you love them. Just say I love you and then drive off." And she was like, "What? Why would I do that?" She was like, "Because it's funny." And she was like, "No, I'm not going to do it." So she pays the toll, continues driving. Eventually, we get to the second toll. And we're like, "Hey, Mom, tell the toll person that you love them." And she's like, "No, I'm not going to do that. That's stupid." So she gives the toll person the $1, and just as she's rolling up the window, she quickly goes, "I love you," and then drives off. And it was amazing. We were so proud of her. We were like, "Yes, Mom." She was like, "No, but what if I get in trouble? What are they going to do? Stop that car. You don't love me. Nobody loves me." Gosh, it's not how it works. Hey, Katie. She's hiding. Family's great. Family's good. Thankful for family. Thankful for the Art League. Thankful to be here too, and by here I mean anywhere that isn't Frontier Town. Talk about that place. I hate Frontier Town. Like, full disclosure, that place sucks. I remember we had like season passes as a kid. We went there every other day. I'm like, "Mom, I'd rather read in my bed in the dark than go to Frontier Town again and go down that giant limestone hill they had that they passed off as a slide somehow. It was the worst health and safety hazard I've ever seen in my life. It's like, "Oh, but don't worry about the jagged edges because we've got this urine-scented yoga mat so you can slide down it. Don't break your tailbone, you little shit. Try not to skin your face off at Frontier Town." Shittiest water park in North America, dude. I hate that place. I hate Frontier Town. It sucks. It's like you know a place is shitty when the best thing there is the lazy river. That's the best thing. Like it was like, oh, thank God we got a lazy river. We can have some fun now. We can enjoy ourselves. And then they put a bar in it. We were just like, so your parents can get nice and sloshed before they take it away for childhood life, bringing your kid to goddamn Frontier Town. Just went in on Frontier Town, man. So, I just wanted to go to Jolly Rogers just like once. It was like just like one monthly trip to Jolly Rogers instead of Frontier Town every other day. So I don't want to get too political here. Like, I know that that's kind of a divisive thing these days, politics, but Wawa was recently voted the most popular sandwich shop in America. And that is a divisive topic. Did you clap? One clap for Wawa being the best sandwich shop in America is one clap too many. I know it's great. I know we're all big fans. I know we've had, at least one chicken cheesesteak in a drunken mess. I know I've had my fair share. But it's just, that is not the best sandwich shop in America. That poll must have been held between 2 a.m. and 5:15 a.m. One night only. After Natty Night at Fish Tales. They were like, yeah, it was the best one in America. I was at Wawa recently. I had an experience at Wawa that just summed up Wawa. There was this kid in there, and he bought himself a pack of gum, some Sour Patch Kids, and 15 Monster Energies. At least 15 Monster Energies. And he had like 2 full bags. And I happened to be parked next to where his car was, and he got in the car with this woman who must have been his mom. And she was like, Jesus Christ, what did you get? And he just goes, mostly drinks. That to me is the epitome of a Wawa experience. God, I'm halfway done, Jesus. So there's this really big problem I've had lately. I just really, really, really want to eat some ice cream with brownies on it. Just some regular room temperature brownies, and not have someone walk up to me and say, aren't you going to warm those up? Aren't you going to warm up your brownie before you put it in the ice cream? No. It's not, ice cream is not just gravy for your brownie. It's not beef tips, it's brownies. That's a new one too. That's not practiced. You guys have a lot of time with me. Anyway, moving right along. Growing up, how many of us grew up in Ocean City? Again, with the hands. Here's my fucking detention. Yeah! Ocean City! Oh, yeah! It's a bird bar! Yeah, I grew up in Ocean City. How many of you have ever been asked like a question like this? Do you guys go to school? Because I've been asked that by people who don't live around here. Do you guys go to school? And I'm like, no, we don't. Every morning since birth, I just pour natural light over a bowl of kettle corn and ride my dolphin Percival around. It's an adoption program they have for children and dolphins. It's only here. Who's this guy? Mr. Bunny! It's not for sale. Damn it. Right in my home. Anyway, growing up in Ocean City, I grew up around a lot of arcades. One of my favorite arcades was something. Yeah, a lot of arcades. Yeah, it's a problem. No, we grew up around a lot of arcades around here. One of my favorites, one that isn't in Ocean City, unfortunately, is Chuck E. Cheese. If you've been to Chuck E. Cheese, that's the Mac Daddy of arcades. Arcade, you got the pizza, you got the games, you got the tickets, you got everything, man. That's the first place I felt like a rich man as a kid, with my tickets and my coins and my Dance Dance Revolution, and I felt like a king. It's the first time I felt rich as a kid. And then you step up to that prize counter, and that's the first place you ever feel broke as hell. The first time you're like, oh, you like that Super Soaker water gun? Well, that'll be 15,000 tickets, you sniveling bitch. Get out of my face. Stop crying. It's a Chinese finger trap for the road. Brutal, man. Brutal, that there prize counter. Jeez. So I was watching an R-rated movie recently, but it was an old movie. It was an old R-rated movie. And there was nothing R-rated about it, really. They just had much different standards back in like the 1940s than they do today for rating, giving a movie an R rating. Like today it's like, this movie is rated R for graphic sexual contents, graphic violence, graphic sexual violence, violent sexual graphics, blood and gore, mature themes, suggestive elements, and of course partial nudity. B movie 2, this one's different. Like it's like you gotta really, there's a lot of stuff in an R-rated movie. It's a loaded package. But back then it was like, this film is rated R because the main character lies to his doctor. Yes, rated R. Yes, there is a kiss shared for 4 seconds between two people who are not married. Rated R. Yes. Can you imagine Humphrey Bogart and Boondock Saints? Like, jeez Louise. I wish my jokes weren't so short. I wish I had follow-up for my material. It's like I do, like, oh, this will take 10 minutes. No, 3 minutes, Tyler. It took 3 minutes. What else haven't I talked about yet? You guys are cool. Thanks for hanging with me, letting me do this. I smoke pot. Hey, Greg, I smoke pot. Smoke pot, smoke the weed, and yeah, this is how you know that I'm digging into my old shit, just like, oh, let's talk about weed. So, yeah, like smoking the pot, got my medical license, so I'm all legit. No one can stop me. I ride around, my weed's got its seatbelt on in the front seat. No one can stop me. My drama teacher is here too from high school. No one is proud of me. Brought the whole gang out. See what Tyler's up to. See if he's making anything of that education I tried to instill. Nope, just smoking pot, sorry. But no, it's really like, for a while I had an office job too, and being a pothead in an office, it's weird. It's a very strange experience. You don't really fit in all that well. I remember once there was this guy giving a presentation at my office, and he was like, very like, he's got his tie, he's got his suit, he's very business, like, oh, how are you doing, business, and he's like very just businessman, business. And I'm just like, not at all. And he's giving this presentation, and it's about customer service, and he's saying, what can we do to, make sure customer service is at its best? We need to think of it like we're having guests in our home, and what do we do when we have guests in our home? Do we break out the fine china, perhaps? Or maybe after dinner we'll have a snifter of brandy or two. He did that like business dick laugh, And I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Because let's face it, folks, if I'm sitting at home and my junk isn't hanging out of the little hole in the front of my pajama pants, I'm ready for company. It's all the preparation I do. And if I am exposed, I'll just grab a towel or a blanket, whatever's closer, don't care, too hot. Does not matter. But yeah, might ruffle a few feathers with this one, but I no longer smoke weed with anyone over 50. I don't do that anymore. That's it. Gave you a chance. Sometimes you have that experience where you go to your friend's house and you're like, dude, tonight's the night, it's going to be crazy. We're going to get high with Brett's dad. Dude, Brett's dad is going to hit the bong with us. And then 15 minutes later, you're like, we got to get the fuck away from Brett's dad! You don't trust in these Woodstock stories, dude! And they're just like, because they all think they can smoke you under the rug, dude. They're like, I've been smoking weed for 4 years. It's about like, they all have southern accents for some reason. Like, I've been smoking weed in Portland, Maine for 40 years because that doesn't sound like this somehow. But yeah, I won't do it anymore. Won't do it. They take one hit of your weed and it's like hydro jet fuel from the dispensary, from your local pot shop, and they can't handle it. They cough like they're treating bronchitis with cigarettes and chocolate milk. It's like, then they break out their stuff. That's a bummer. It's like you break it open, the seeds fly out like ballberries from a suicide test. It's crazy. Nuts. So I don't do that anymore. All right, 9 minutes. That's cool. I have a few one-liners. You guys want to hear a couple of one-liners? I didn't get an answer. Yeah! All right. Oh boy, I can't do that one in front of my grandmother. Okay. Candy stores are just tackle shops for pedophiles. Yes. I love freedom of religion in America. You can pray to whatever Jesus you want. All right. Republicans have really high standards. In fact, they're so high, they're actually double standards. Thanks for clapping, you libtards. Oh yeah, this isn't a one-liner, this is just something that happened to me. I was in the grocery store and I walked by this couple and the guy looks at me and then he turns back to his girlfriend and says, "Oh yeah, we need toilet paper." That happened. It's like, oh, speaking of shit, we need toilet paper. Thanks, stranger. So I'll tell you what, back to politics. Yeah, you know what, back to politics. It's a really divisive time, guys, really divisive time, and I think it has a lot to do with the rhetoric you hear on both sides. Not on both sides, what the hell am I talking about? It's the rhetoric on the right. But but it has a lot to do with the rhetoric, like, you know, it's really inflamed rhetoric these days. You turn on, have you ever listened to political radio? Have you ever listened to conservative news radio? Have you turned that on and just given it a listen? It's just like, those are some angry, but they're like, do you know what these liberals are trying to do? They want to raise your taxes so that illegal aliens and gay drug lords can cross the border in their smart cars, drive them through your living room so they can smack your wife with their food stamps and steal your stove softeners. This isn't the America I grew up in. What the? It's like, go! If any of that is true, I am appalled. But if none of it's true, I'm still interested. This guy means what he says. I think that's why they win sometimes. Because they just go nuts and it's like, blah, 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 blah. Whereas and then you turn on NPR, it's like the most boring shit you've ever heard in your life. It is painfully boring, guys. It's like, today we're going to spend 6 hours discussing how the eating habits of some very picky beavers have disrupted the ecology of a South Nicaraguan river basin. And don't forget to donate your car to save the bees. The thing is, if I listen to that, if I actually took the time and got educated, I would learn something. I would be smarter at the end and I might save the bees. I don't know. But I'll never get that far because it's too damn boring. Just once, I want to see Anderson Cooper just kick a table over, man. He's a piece of shit. I hate him because he's a piece of shit. There, I said it. It's like, let the revolution begin. So any couples in the audience? Bring your lady out to the comedy show. bring your missus out and see Tyler. Do some comedy here into a microphone. That doesn't work. Who brought their honey? Come on. Nobody, a loveless crowd. That's good. If anyone here isn't in a relationship, they just obviously don't want to talk about it. They just would rather not discuss it. I'm in a relationship. I love my girlfriend very much. She's very sweet. We've been in a relationship for 2.5 years. And we've lived together for a little over a year, so that means we haven't spoken in about 6 months. And neither of us could be happier. We just sit on the couch, we just scroll through Instagram and not care what's happening on the other side of the couch. It's wonderful. Who has time for conversation? Or it's not, what is she going to learn from me that she can't learn on the internet? What am I going to give her that Instagram can't give her? It's pointless. Some people give us shit too and say like, oh, well, it's so sad to see these young people sitting across from each other scrolling through their cell phones. It's like, no, it's really not. It's actually a whole lot better. Oh, jeez, I'm running out of jokes. I'm literally just running out of them. Oh, gosh. Well, my girlfriend, she has, when you're in a relationship for a while, eventually you got to meet your girlfriend's friends. My girlfriend has a lot of really cool friends, which is different because most of the girlfriends I've ever had, that's some more people joining us. How are you guys? Yeah, that's it. Finally, OC is here, baby! He's like, yeah. Fuck yeah, that's the archetype. That's what I wasn't as a kid, okay? That's what I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just have you walk into like, hey, look at that dude. That's what I never was. I went to school, I was just this chubby mess, I was nervous all the time. I told my friends I was allergic to sunscreen. I wasn't. I just didn't want to be greased up at the beach. I didn't want people laughing at me that much. Like, you know, if you're not getting the laughs you'd like out of your chubby child, bring him to the Ocean City beach, lathered in SPF 30. You'll get a couple giggles. Unlike these beautiful assholes. They look great. All right, I think I'll just do one more here. And I've never done this one before. So, yeah, buckle in. Buckle in, strap in. You got 3 minutes left. And it's about childhood. When I was a kid, I used to go to this theater program in New York, and it was very expensive, and it was really awesome. It was like this really amazing theater program. It totally changed my life, and I can't find the joke on my thing, so I'm just kind of stalling and hoping it'll pop up. Oh, there it is. Anyway, sometimes they take the saying "the show must go on" far too seriously, and I learned this at that theater program. I was in a show. We had a 3-week session at this theater program. You know, you go for 2.5 weeks, and then you get cast in a show, you rehearse it for 2 weeks, and then you put on a show at the end, at the weekend, these 3 performances. It was a whole lot of fun. And we had this kid named Harry in one of our shows, and Harry was he was just one of those extra kids, you know? He was just like, hey guys! Like, just really in your face all the time. Constant, like, super excited about everything. And it's like, you know, as an adult, you know, you look at something like that, you're like, okay, this kid just, like, he needs, you know, extra attention, he needs extra, you know, he just, like, you know, he's developing, and it's just not the same as other kids, and that's cool. But as a kid, you're like, Jesus Christ, this is a lot. Like, I gotta be in rehearsal with this dude every day for 2 weeks, holy shit. Like, it was just really exhausting, you know, just every day, like, but the first 2 shows we do that weekend goes off without a hitch. It was a lot of fun. And then the 3rd show happens, and we walk on stage in the opening song, and there's a shit on the stage. Not a metaphorical shit. It was a shit on the stage. No one did anything about it. Nobody really knew what to do about it. So we just danced around it like Runaway. Like, it was a show called Runaways. So it was about kids who ran away from home. It was like, gotta get away from my parents. Like trying to dodge the shit. And we were so mad. We were so upset because at intermission there's like these 13-year-old girls whose parents paid like all this money for them to dance around and shit. And they're like, look at this, this is disgusting! And it was amazing, and we were so fed up by that point that none of us used our logic at all. We were like, it was Harry. Harry's shit on stage. Had enough of him. He did it. It's the only person we're blaming right now. Harry did it. Harry definitely didn't do it. Think about it for a sec. How does a human child get away with that? It was an outdoor theater, by the way, so it's like open to the woods, there's like deer and all kinds of animals, perfectly capable of doing that. So everyone just assumed like this kid just because he was annoying. Well, that wasn't the strong reaction I was hoping for to end my set. But you guys have been a lot of fun. My name is Tyler Dark. I hope that you can please start clapping now so I can do
I want to use this prop mic. This is really fun. Everyone, we have to take a short intermission. We have all of these walls of speakers. We got to set them all up. So if you need to go smoke some cigarettes and use the restroom 3 times, now's your chance. And if anyone wants to stand up there, I see you're all crowded. Go ahead. Where's my crew?
Yeah, but we're banned.
Yeah, sorry.
That's good. No, it's all good, dude.